What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of BZG's Talking Shit. My name is Barrett Courtney. As always, I am your host. And here, joined with me, is one of my great co-hosts and even better friends, the jackass who eats ice cream, Henry Montiero. What's up, Henry? How you doing today?
I hope that's chocolate.
It's chocolate.
And in between us is a good friend of ours, coming in hot from IrrationalPassions.com, DJ Waifu himself, Alex O'Neill. What's up, Alex? How you doing today?
Hello.
I don't know if they heard you.
I'm sure they heard me.
I feel like all three of us are just absolutely wired today.
Yeah, we're just fucking...
When Sean was here, did him and Tom just cuddle up together on this thing?
So here's the thing. We recorded our regular YouTube stuff before they got here.
Oh.
So they were only on the Shitcast. They didn't get the full Shitcast and YouTube experience. So you're actually the first content creator who does gaming coverage, who's gotten the first full BZG fucking experience.
BZG right to the face.
Yeah, of doing everything. So you're in it. They just did the podcast. They didn't do the YouTube stuff.
They're not real.
This is I like this. This is good.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, all the guests that we usually have on besides
Are just friends.
Are just friends usually that I call up last minute when either Ricky or Henry are like, "Hey, we can't make it tomorrow." I'm like, "Thanks for the heads up."
I mean, I always give a heads up.
Yeah, and then Ricky, Ricky's just always fucking somewhere. # free Ricky.
Hey,
JK,
I have a job.
JK, we killed him in last episode. Watch yesterday's episode of Talking
canon.
Shit.
Hey, I have a job. Hey, I have a girlfriend. Hey, I have
a life. No.
Hey, whatever, man. Fuck you.
No, I joke around.
I have a brother too. You suck.
No, you both of you have a lot going on. I wrote about that recently. I appreciate the time you guys take to do silly things like BZG. So thank you. But anyway,
a silly thing.
if you don't know what we do here, Talking Shit, one of us brings in a topic of discussion, and then we talk some shit about that topic. And today's topic, the final topic of the week, all these topics are coming from me. We have a special guest named Alex O'Neill.
Hey.
What's up?
Right here.
Hello.
So, you have been
Oh
doing...
yeah, this is the secret topic. I didn't know about this.
This is the secret topic that neither of you knew
Sorry,
about.
I'm pulling the curtain back. Oh, still trapped.
By the time you're watching this, Alex is dead.
I'm wearing the same clothes, not because it's the same day we're recording this, but because I haven't been allowed to leave.
Oh, now I kind of wish that
For
we had.
days.
I kind of wish that we had gone off and changed.
Yeah, no. I've definitely
just us, but he's the
I've
same.
definitely, when I recorded video, which I will again, stop asking me. I
just like we
would
have
change
watchers.
between episodes that we recorded in one session. Secret.
Yeah. So
Like the reverse Daniel Radcliffe.
we just started BZG earlier this year. April 1st was our launch date. Not really intended. It is sort of just how things worked out. And our first thing that we ever did was we
Go on.
we streamed. We did a Twitch show.
You streamed an episode of Irrational Passions on your Twitch channel.
So what we did was we did like a regular just podcast where I had no structure for the show. The only two things that I brought in were E3 predictions for 2015 in video games.
Okay.
And then the best video games on each Nintendo console. And that was like the first thing we have ever done.
And it's lost forever.
And we totally lost that forever. We were in a totally different place. We were in an actual studio that like irregular podcast people.
My dad's professional studio.
Yeah, and we tried that out. And so we've learned a lot in the last year of BZG, and we kept doing a Twitch show. We sort of did like a Colin and Greg live thing every Wednesday where we would talk about like the weekly news and all this stuff. But I realized at one point like Twitch is streaming video is probably not the best place to start off with when you're trying to get into games coverage and all that stuff. It just takes a lot of energy to be up and present in a live atmosphere. So we got rid of BZG News and instead came
baiazonagamers
God
news.
fucking no.
I haven't said it once.
Baiazonagamers, bitch.
What are you talking about?
Honestly, I forget we have a full name.
Yeah, we just call it
BZG is a lot catchier. I mean, like,
Yeah.
when I'm talking to people about it, I call it IP or Irrational Pod. So.
Yeah, and that was the thing. I was
Don't
like
call it
trying
Irrational Passions?
I was trying to come up with a thing that had like a good, quick to remember name. So I just call it BZG. and we've learned a lot. Like we got rid of Twitch, but then we started doing the podcast every Sunday, and that's like what took over that. And you know, if you watch this episode and then watch the first episode of Talking Shit, like right now you might be thinking, wow, these guys aren't really that impressive. Watch our fucking first episode of Talking Shit. It's unbearable.
Our first episode is literally just us yelling at each other. What was the
I don't remember what the topic was. I remember
there was Rainbow Six Siege. I talked about how AI will kill us all.
That was the first one, was will AI kill us all? And it's literally us just talking about artificial intelligence. Just talking out of our asses.
I'm sorry, it's not gonna kill us. It'll kill the next generation. Fuck
Yeah. Fuck them.
They're fucked.
Yeah.
We don't even do topics like that anymore. We just talk about video good.
Yeah, so we don't like. I want to try to bring in like general topics. I've been doing it like less video game centric. Like I was the one who brought in the "Does porn kill love" topic the other week.
No, but it
for
kills
our
me.
episode 69. Yeah, it was so fucking.
We're working
good.
till we get to episode 420.
That'll be our last episode ever.
We've definitely had those conversations. We're actually like more than halfway there now. So like
That's crazy.
we definitely at 220 earlier this year. We were like, so like double this up, and that's when we quit, right?
Yeah.
Or 210.
So the topic I want to bring in today is we've learned a lot.
Okay.
And so what I want to talk about today, Alex, what have you learned throughout the last 5 years of doing Irrational Passions? What's some advice you could give out to someone who might be watching this video, intending to do what we do?
It's funny. I sat down with my good friend Caleb. I can't pronounce his last name. He's on Bonus Points, the podcast, though.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, Caleb. I just don't want to butcher your last name. I sat down with him, because basically his co-host Roger Picorni is a good friend of mine. I reached out to him asking him for advice. Just about a specific thing that I don't want to go too much into right now.
Yeah.
And I remember Caleb mentioning he wants to get into freelance writing, which I've actually recently gotten into.
Which,
Thanks.
applaud to you. 'Cause
I've finally gotten paid to write about video games.
yeah, that's fucking awesome. That's amazing.
I've lived my dream, at least to a certain extent. But I told Roger, like, hey, I know Caleb's interested in freelance writing. Just let him know, if he ever wants to talk to somebody about it, I'm totally open to. So Caleb and I had like this 2-hour Skype chat where, he's like, I want advice, I was very humbled that, he chose to go to me as I am now. Because, again, this was a surprise to me. And you and I had we
just had like a fucking broach test, after we recorded my top 10 video games of 2015.
And we talked a little bit about it. Like, advice is like really tough. Like, I would say I'm a professional, but I say that, with a grain of salt. Like I just I've picked up the kind of behavior that you should have.
Yeah.
Right. Like, certain behaviors that are maybe more appropriate for the environment that, I work in. But it's tough. Like, some people have reached out to me for advice of like, what specifically would you want to know about? Like writing, getting into the industry, podcasting, like doing a website?
So I guess what I want to hear from specifically is, what has your journey been through Irrational Passions? What have the tough times been? What have you had to learn about? What have you had to, change up for the better of Irrational Passions? All that good stuff. Like, take us on a trip of day one of Irrational Passions, and then like, I don't know. Just start there, and then we'll try to go.
Yeah, I mean, like, feel free. I don't want this to be too like weirdly self-indulgent, so feel free to.
No, I did this on purpose because we have you here, and you're someone that I highly respect in the gaming coverage.
I appreciate that.
Thing. So I wanted it to be all about you.
Well, like I started Irrational Passions in 2010. Which is 5 years ago now.
Yeah.
And like that's still like a crazy thing to me. But I've been wanting to start a podcast and a website for a lot longer than that. Since 2008. I actually started a website in 2008 that was destroyed, deleted. But it wasn't like, it was just kind of like it was seeding the idea of what I wanted to do. I mentioned like earlier, I think it was off camera or off mic, that I was like way into Super Smash Bros. Brawl.
Yeah.
Right. And that was like, I started listening to a video game podcast, Show Me Your News, in 2008.
This is a funny title.
Which is still going, and people should listen to it because it's a great show. And I started listening to that, and I started like checking news every day, and that's when I started like this Smash Brothers oriented website, which doesn't exist and never will again. And
It was
like,
very successful by how you're talking about it.
It was the thing of like, I didn't know how to promote myself, right? I kept posting it to Facebook and sending it to all my Facebook friends because I wanted people to notice it. I wanted people to know that this is what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
They didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
They did not want to have this in their inbox in Facebook because fuck my friends. No, I'm just kidding. They're cool now.
Called out.
But like, that was like, I should have known then. And then years go by, I get more and more into podcasts, listen to Bombcast, that video game podcast. That video game podcast is also worth noting where the titles thing comes from. And, like more and more shows and like looking about it. And I was watching the Game Crashers, another video game podcast, like independent. They were doing their 100th episode, I believe, or their 1 year anniversary. It was a live show on Justin TV, pre-Twitch still. So they were doing a live show, and I was watching it with my friends Scott and Evan.
Yeah.
And they were getting really into it. I'm like, we should do this. It was like the moment where like they were clearly like they liked it, and they had not heard of podcasting before enough, and like I broached the idea to them, and then 2 weeks later we were recording the first episode of Irrational Passions podcast on June 3rd, 2010. Or July 3rd, I should say. From there it was like weird because I started the website, and originally it was terrible.
That's why we've yet to launch a website ourselves, because one, I don't know how to, and two, it's like I don't know how confident
I figured it all
be.
out myself too. Like I was just freeballing it.
I feel like I'm the only one of us who could design a website, and I'd fill it with flaming basketball gifs on all the corners.
And like flying dicks is like what you would do.
Yeah, I mean it's
And our font is like
It's Comic Sans. Just, no,
our name is
it's
in
just
Comic Sans with like red with green drop shadow on it.
I've got a Comic Sans related thing. So we're gonna go down a full journey. ippodcast.net.
Ooh, a .net.
Which is like people like don't even know that URL anymore because it doesn't exist. I don't even own that URL anymore.
Okay.
I had it like for a couple years, and it was just forwarded to Irrational Passions after I got that. So like that was just a fucking mess. And then eventually I launched a WordPress platform. After episode 10, we had our first guests on. I used kind of like a podcast, like instructing people how to start a podcast. I don't even remember the name of the show. It had some of the people from Gamers with Jobs on it. So you could probably dig it up. And yeah, it was like, don't have guests on until your 10th episode or beyond, just because you want to make sure you can do this consistently.
Yeah.
You can get a groove with your co-host, right? That was like something I think is really, really important for starting a podcast, like for people who want advice out there. And like after episode 10, we had Joseph Fate and someone who went by the name Rebel. Like this was still like in 2010, there were a lot of people that went by their handles as their podcast host names, which I wanted to kind of get away from pretty quickly.
You didn't want to go around as DJ Waifu?
No, not as Alpha Under 27. Like, I wanted people to know who I was.
Yeah.
Like, the Sarcastic Gamer guys were one of the guys. They were the ones who founded Extra Life, for reference.
Oh, okay.
And like they would always refer to each other as like their names, like PlayStation Nation. Torgo's the host. Torgo's his handle. Glenn is his real name.
Torgo.
Yeah, from Mystery Science Theater.
Yeah.
There's no way out. It'll be dark soon. There's no way out. Listen, you open up the Manos can of worms, and I am there for the fishing.
When I was a guest on Irrational Passions, someone had made like, not on purpose, like a sort of reference to Manos, the Hand of Fate, and Nabishin, one of the co-hosts, like like Manos the Hands of Fate, and like I got super into like his reference, and no one else sort of got it right away, and like
That's
it was just like this
all the time, though.
that it was just like this moment like him and I
Spotted
shared, and it was fucking great.
Manos, the hand of fate.
Nabishin, I fucking love you.
It was a beautiful moment.
It was.
Yeah, I mean, like I always want to get away from like that username, and like I don't hold anything against people that do it. It's just like, you know, I was kind of following the tact of the IGN podcast where it's like, I'm Greg Miller and you know, I'm Colin Moreira. Like these are names, they're people. Yeah. Right. And you know, I was doing whatever I could to exemplify that. Joseph joined on episode 13 of IP. So then we had 4 people. 4 people is the perfect amount for podcasts, by the way. I think. Says the guy who hosts a podcast with 4 people that has a total of like 7, like in the history of IP. But yeah, you know, we went on. I started a WordPress version of the website. Joe and I started writing reviews and requesting reviews. I had been writing reviews since day 1 of IP, but the old website was garbage.
Garbage! Just fucking burned it on fire.
Yeah, and then like
Burned it on fire?
Yes.
You know, thrown to the wolves, I figured out how to make a WordPress website. Initially, I had a Comic Sans as the font. Yes. Terrible.
It's great. It's fucking so great.
This will show people I'm fun.
Somebody messaged me. I don't even know who this person was. It's a complete stranger. And I have never talked to him since. Just messaged me saying like, hey, from one website designer to another, you get that shit off your website.
I hope to God, just for some fucking reason.
Some complete stranger. I don't even remember his name. He probably didn't even know my name. He just PM'd me through whatever service and said like, hey,
get the fuck up.
Fucking stop it.
And that man was Greg Miller.
Right?
Greg has been slowly fucking with you
and it's like, it's
life.
this guy who's just like this transient being who came through my life to give me this piece of advice so I could give it to someone else in the future. So when you launch your website, if you ever do, don't use fucking Comic Sans. So I changed it like that day.
That reminds me, I just like when I designed the posters once for the school play. Well, like the auditions and like the cast list. I did it all in Comic Sans just because it pissed everyone off in the cast.
Shit, I was about to make a point. But the whole thing with like taking critiques of like what you do and stuff. Yeah. I always like that. I don't feel like I get enough of that. Yeah. The first like sort of critical thing that happened was we're on the Kind of Funny Facebook group. There's a thing called Sub Sunday. Yeah. And I shared our Super Mario Maker Let's Play. And that was back in the days where we recorded Let's Plays with the fucking computer fucking microphone.
Do we get fucking thrown to the ground?
Yeah, well, he didn't throw it to the ground. He was like, hey, you guys are pretty funny, but you need to fucking fix your microphone. I was like, and ever since that, I've been like, trying to slowly work up to like a better mic and all this stuff. That's why I got that shitty 46-minute mic that like fucking statics up at, like I didn't know that was gonna happen. Yeah. And then I finally got the blue microphone recently, so now our Let's Plays after the end of Arkham City, our Let's Plays will consistently sound pretty fucking good. So.
Yeah, and it's like that static happened to me. You know, we all started with headsets, right? Like just like I had I don't even remember the brand, Gamer Zone something. Okay. Headset.
Welcome to the Gamer Zone.
But like, you know,
AutoZone.
That's what I was using initially with IP. I didn't have a condenser mic always. At the end of 2010, I was like, I'm in this. Like I knew at that point, even after 6 months, it was probably a bad idea. That like I was going to commit to it. So I got a mixer, I got a condenser mic. You know, I had studio equipment. And that's why, like, I've always like consistently pushed this studio sound. My mixer is starting to like go out. That's why I think my sound has gotten progressively, like, my audio has gotten progressively worse and worse as like the past like
ever since I came on
18 months has gone on. No. But you know, like Joe did as well. He got like a great mic, and you know, so far I've progressively gotten everyone on the podcast a better and better microphone.
That's good.
So we all use at least a USB like dynamic microphone. Yep. And like condenser mic, dynamic mic, XLR, studio equipment, even like using GarageBand. I had taught myself all of this. Yeah. Like that's the hardest thing is like committing the time to learning this shit is like a fucking nightmare.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
I was a kid in high school, so like I had time when I started this.
Yeah, and like we primarily started with doing basically just the video aspect of it.
Yeah.
And thankfully, like, you know, we talk about like all the shitty things we used to do on YouTube with our short sketches and stuff, but that that knowledge that I had learned from that transferred over to this, because we didn't really edit those videos. It was our friend Tyler Tang who would edit those videos, and he was also the editor of the our movie that we did in high school. Like he taught me all of that. So, you know, I work in iMovie while editing these videos, so it was cool to like, you know, sort of have a grounds of like knowing how to do things when I started out.
I mean, I like kind of played around with GarageBand a little bit, but that was it.
You don't like GarageBand, from what I hear.
No,
You just have a bad experience.
I don't think people should. I don't think you should natively record audio with GarageBand unless you've got like a powerhouse computer. Just because GarageBand has a tendency to stop recording or crash.
And that's the weird thing, is that the only reason, because we recorded an episode of like top 10 video games, and you told me before we started recording, don't use GarageBand, it tends to crash. And I was like, oh, I record on GarageBand all the time, it'll be fine. And then literally like 20 minutes into the thing, it didn't crash. It was just
stop
like
recording.
It wasn't GarageBand's fault. It was actually the computer, because it's an old computer. So it was like you're using too much disk.
Yeah, disk too slow, right?
Yeah. So it was just because I was using Skype and GarageBand at the same time. So,
and it's just like I am so intimately familiar with the specific issues because I've run into them 1,000 times.
Yeah.
Like when we started like halfway through the year, you guys were talking about you started in like April,
Yeah.
so like you did predictions for that year and you did E3 predictions. Like we did something that we kind of pioneered that we do every year called the half year game of the year, where we talk about like the games we played that half of the year so far and what we think is like what's our favorite game so far through the year. Because we started halfway through the year. So that was a way to kind of like talk about the 2010 games that we had kind of gotten into, like Mass Effect 2, for example, and stuff like that.
It's a good one.
It's a real good one. I mean, like come February 2011, I got the Irrational Passions domain. I started my own website. I was actually friend of the show at the time, David Gallant. People probably heard of him. He's like a pretty well-known indie game developer. He got fired from his job for making like this game about being a telephone operator. It was a pretty known story, but like he was actually hosting what would become irrationalpassions.com.
I'm sorry, he's being a piece of shit right now. He's literally copying every movement that I'm doing right now, and it's really fucking annoying me.
You guys have like a little mirror?
Yeah, it's really bothering me, because I think it started out first as like a natural thing that just happened to be going on, but I think
then
he noticed
it,
and then he started just doing everything that I was doing. So, God damn it!
Yeah.
I can't do anything now. I'm sorry. It was distracting me. You're a piece of shit, Henry. Continue. But we love you. You're a piece of shit that we love.
DavidSgallant.com/IP podcast. Doesn't exist anymore either. That's what would become RationalPassions.com. But yeah, so like, you know, there was a lot of stages of progression of this. Again, like I learned how to make a WordPress website, like you basically get a theme, you dump the theme in, and like you just kind of work with it, and it's like a nightmare, and God, it's horrible, and you pay for hosting, and it's like money. Yeah, like I don't know, like it's been such a wild ride because you just like at that point it just started moving so quick.
Yeah.
Like, you know, 2012 we hit episode 100, you know, and then like we got episode 50, our 1 year mark, we got added to the VG Evo network of podcasts, which was like big for us because we've been posting there since we started as like, you know, one of the independent podcasts, and like now we're part of that network. We still are, and like it's not as big as it was anymore because like, you know, it was a forum, and kind of Twitter's destroyed almost all forums. But, it's still a great group of people. Like, and then we're on that network with other podcasts like Interactive Distractions, Gamers Only Older, PlayStation Nation was on there for a while. I don't know if they still post there, probably not. You know, we don't post there really anymore either. But that's still family to me, right?
It's all about family.
Yeah, it's all about family. It's always been about family. And then like
Obama means family.
After like episode 100 was crazy because like Joe flew up from Florida, and Nabishin, who had just joined, drove up from Virginia, and all of us were together. Still like the only time all of us have been together except for Extra Life of 2013. We were all together for that as well. But yeah, it was like, these people were my family that I started. And Irrational Passions was initially going to be like, hey, I want to do a podcast and I want to write and I want to publish it and put it out there because like Greg Miller said to do that on a podcast, just do it, right?
Yeah.
Just start doing it.
Yeah.
But it became something more than that. Rational Passions is never going to be anything more than what it is now, I don't think. I don't want it to be, though.
Yeah.
Rational Passions is my baby and like everyone else who's a part of that.
That's cool.
And it'll always be what got me started. But like, as much as I have all this writing there and I started that with these amazing people that I still love and like those friendships are some of the most valuable friendships I have in my life. And it's something I do every week for 5 years, which is like an insane
That's
thing.
crazy. Like I'm already losing my mind and we're not even at the fucking year mark.
Yeah. It's like, it's crazy. And like when I had clinical depression in 2012, like we took 3 months off. Like there was a moment where I'm like, I don't think I can do this anymore. Yeah. And I stepped down. I stopped writing. I stopped talking to people. Like that was, it was a very dark period of my life. And they kept recording the podcast, but like they just didn't have anyone to edit the show, and none of those episodes got posted. Yeah. And then I made the choice that I wanted to come back, and it just started building up again and again from there. And I think from that point on, we came back like with a vengeance. Yeah. But like that's why like episode 250 was in October instead of July, because like there's like this weird gap where there was no IP. Yeah. And like that's like the hardest challenge that we ran into. But I mean, do you have any questions? I don't want to like just
this is sort of what I wanted. Just like what your journey has been. I've liked this so far.
Yeah, I mean like that 2013 was like
the big year.
The big year, yeah. I mean, that was one of the best years of my life. That's the year I met Greg Miller. Yeah. And I have like
Sean calls it your Greg moment.
Yeah, the Greg moment. And like Greg knows my Greg moment. And Sean knows it too because Sean did the same thing. Yeah. And we talked about it. Like it's a kind of a moment of camaraderie.
Like I'm sort of scared of this Greg moment.
No, I mean like I think now that you know about it, like it'll diffuse it. But like it's crazy because I go to the IGN panel, which is how to get paid to write about video games. Yeah. Something that I've done now in my life, which is crazy. 2 years later, and I go up and I ask a question to the IGN panel. I've met a couple of them at the PAX East the year before. At this point, some of them recognize me. It's like Damon Hatfield, for example. That's recognized. Cool. It's like. And this is like the first time I'm ever like talking to Greg, who's on the panel, and like I say, so I have a website, and well, I don't want to like pimp it out to here, and Greg's like, no, what's the name of the website? And I'm like, irrationalpassions.com, and he just yells Irrational Passions because he loved the name so much.
That's what I say. Like I joke around like every once in a while. I was like, yeah, baiazonagamers is like a terrible name, but you're like, yeah, like. But I'm the guy who came up with Irrational Passions. But that literally sounds like you're seducing a woman. Like,
are you ready for some irrational passions?
Like, look at Henry. Look, like, wouldn't you just want to fuck him right then and there?
Well, I wouldn't. But I think that's unrelated.
First time I've heard that.
Oh, take that!
Oh, sick bird, damn!
Oh, God. Someone just like. Is everyone okay? But yeah, like that moment.
I'm gonna get up. Keep talking.
And then like Greg had to leave the panel early to go like moderate like a Just Cause 2 panel, I think, or something like
dumb,
something like that, or like an infamous.
Why?
Panel.
Just Cause.
Just Cause.
Damn.
And like I met him outside, and it's just like in the hallway in the Boston Convention Center, and I'm like. Basically, like, confessing my love to him. And I'm just sitting there, like, talking so much.
Get down on one knee.
Some guy, like, walks behind me and like, I guess, like, mimes beyond to him. And he's like, I'm still listening. Damn. And he never breaks eye contact with me, though, because he's, like, so into it.
That's fucking awesome.
It was beautiful. But like, I'm telling like, you're my hero. You're the reason I started doing this. And I just said way too much. Yeah. In a way too short.
And that's like what I'm like trying to like not do.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, Greg Miller was and is my hero because like he was the first guy who was like, it was like 2009. I'm listening to Podcast Beyond, like episode 80 something, and like he's like, he talks about going to school for journalism. I'm like, wait, people do that? Like to write about video games? And like that was the moment where I'm like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
And like that set my life in the course it is. But like a lot else has affected that. It was just him that kind of indoctrinated the idea into me.
Yeah.
So like I hit that moment, and then 2013 was just crazy. Greg came on our podcast in August of that year. Actually, the same.
I actually went back to watch that episode.
Yeah, the same day, a year later, that he was diagnosed with cancer, which was just a crazy coincidence.
Yeah.
And like he remembered me, and I saw him at Beyond 300 that year. That I went to IGN. I was in the IGN offices. I met all the editors. I talked to them, and like networking was always like a big part of it. And like PAX East, when I first went there, the first person I met was Ryan Davis.
Oh, cool.
Like PAX East 2012. Like I was just
He's a cool cat.
he was an incredible person.
Yeah.
I'm walking down the convention hall and I see like Patrick Klepek and Drew Scanlon and Ryan Davis of GiantBomb.com.
Yeah.
I'm like, just fuck it. And I just walk up and I say hi to him. And like Ryan had this way of like making you feel like you were best friends your whole life.
Yeah.
Even if you had just met him, which is one of the reasons why he was one of the most amazing people. And like I try to evoke that feeling every day of my life. And from that moment on, where like I broke the ice with like basically the perfect person to do that with. Going up to Damon and Anthony Gallegos and Brian Altano and stuff, like it was so much easier after that point, thanks to Ryan Davis.
That's really awesome.
Yeah, and Ryan Davis also remembered me. I met him that year at PAX East. I saw him again at PAX Prime. He's like, he just called me over. He's like, hey, Alex, why don't you come over and take this picture for me? He was like, what the fuck? And then he mentioned me on the Giant Bombcast that year.
That's cool.
Again, he just said, Alex, but I knew.
Yeah, you knew. And that's the important part.
Yeah, and, that's something that's out there forever. Like, that's just the craziest shit ever. And then I saw him again at PAX East that year, and he remembered me still. And I took like this amazing photo with him and Jeff Gerstmann where he's like smelling my hair, which he did like intently, just like pulled me in, just and he was like, I had Axe Apollo shampoo, and he's like, man, you smell awesome. I'm like, I'm wearing Axe Apollo. Ladies love an astronaut, and he fucking lost his mind laughing.
Sorry, I had to clap myself back in the frame.
He thought it was the funniest shit, and like that was like the moment I made Ryan Davis laugh was like the proudest moment of my life.
That's awesome.
And like that's also like a big part of my journey was Ryan Davis. Like I can't, even though he passed away that summer, I can't like underestimate how significant that was to my journey. And then Greg and having him on the podcast, going to Beyond 300, I had a lot of support from my family to get out to some of these events. Like my parents both travel for their work, so they have just frequent flyer miles that they'll never use. So they're like, you can use them.
That's awesome.
And I'm very lucky.
Yeah.
I recognize that. But like at this point in my life, I've just been saving money, and I paid my way out here, and I know you here, so I can.
Yeah. And that was like a big moment when, like, just emailing you and just being like, yo, like, I want to be on your podcast. I think you guys are really cool. And then, like, you just getting back to me and, like, just being like, yeah, sure, whatever.
Yeah, like,
I'm just a fucking guy. And because it was really cool because I just got into this whole fucking gaming coverage thing earlier this year. It's a new territory for me. And so I feel like I haven't earned any sort of, like, recognition or anything. Like, I feel like just emailing you, I was like, he probably doesn't give a fuck about me. Damn it. It's just like, why did you send that, Barrett? I'm just looking at myself in the mirror like, you're ugly, you selfish whore.
You're just looking at yourself like you just sent that risky text to the girl you like, and you're like,
shit, I shouldn't have done
Shit!
that. It's like middle school all over again.
Damn it!
Oh, God. Oh, God.
why did I say I love her?
She doesn't even know my name.
Why did I say that I'd be the proudest moment of my life to podcast with her?
And then she texts back like, hey, with 2 Y's, and you're like, oh shit.
Oh fuck!
It's down
my God.
now.
It's happening.
But that was just such a cool moment, like a welcoming moment. And like when you hit me back up of like I offered like our place to you if you wanted to come out here for PSX, and you took up that offer, and like just like you.
I don't know why you're like super glad about that. I'm just glad I have a place to stay here. Like,
but and
It was
also
very
like
kind to
the,
show like $1,000.
yeah,
and also like the whole like Sean hit me out of nowhere, hit me up out of nowhere, not hit me out of nowhere.
How's it feel?
He hit me up out of nowhere. He was, for like a month before the IGN house party. He's like, "Yo, like, can we stay here for like a couple of nights, like just randomly, like out of the blue?" And I was like touched like that he thought of me, you know, because Sean, like, I've talked to him before, and he was one of the people that sort of inspired me to start podcasting as well, because I often talk about the time like everybody was out here for Kind of Funny Live, and him, Andrew from Comics and Joysticks, and myself, and Jacob, a good friend of ours, we're all just sitting down at Underdogs and just discussing. Well, Sean was on the side of why the Christopher Nolan Batman movies were fucking awful and why The Dark Knight was the worst one.
Oh, I wish
Okay.
I was there now.
And that was
Yeah.
like, it was such a great conversation, and like this moment where like I was like, holy fuck, this is what podcasting is, right? Like,
Yeah.
I could do this.
Yeah.
And so it was just really touching that like he thought of me, because like everybody like I felt like knew Sean, who like Sean was, and he like decided to hit me up and be like, yo, like let's hang out,
yeah. I mean, Sean like attracts people to him. Like
because he's just an attractive guy.
yeah, he's beautiful. God,
Fucking
no, like
beautiful.
Sean inspires me every day.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
He goes a mile a minute.
he's
and
a
it's
hardworking
just-
motherfucker.
Yeah, I don't
Who
like
goes hard.
I know. It's like when I look at him and then I look at myself, I'm like,
You know why
fuck,
he's so
man.
successful? It's because he doesn't drink. It's like
Yeah, that is
No,
like the one
no,
reason.
it's because he's fucking so passionate.
He's an irrational passion.
Irrational passion.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. Irrationalos postos.
I'm here.
Pesos.
But he is a huge inspiration, because he talked about on the Shitcast a couple of weeks ago, where he asked Tim, I think like earlier this year, like, hey, what does it take to like be on your guys' radar? And Tim was like, you
already are.
You already are. And like ever since then, he's been going a mile a minute of like doing the hardest work he can. He's the most dedicated motherfucker to Kind of
Yeah, I was
Funny.
standing next to him when he talked to like Colin Moriarty, and Colin just like from the bottom of his heart thanked him for everything that he'd done for
Yeah.
the community. And Sean like almost started crying. And I just hugged him. I'm like, dude, like, you know, you like totally deserve everything that like every word that he
Everything
said
that is coming his way in the future, he totally
and
has fucking earned and deserves.
it's like one of those moments where like he'll make it, he'll be fine.
Yeah.
He's gonna be great. Also, I can't wait to like work with him.
Yeah, and that's the one thing I talked with you about. Sorry, Henry, you're just over here, just fucking like.
I just used the bathroom for a second.
You can if you want to.
I'll just stay.
Yeah, you're just gonna hold it.
We're gonna be here for a while while all.
Well,
of
no, I
this
do want to
gets-
close up because someone is waiting outside for us, so I want to do close up soon. But I just want to say, when I started out this whole podcasting thing and like doing the YouTube stuff, I was aiming towards one day working for Kind of Funny, and that while that goal is still sort of in mind, that's like a very far goal. Hopefully, just like one day in 5 years or something.
Yeah.
But now, like, the main goal is to work with you guys one day. And because I've gotten to know you guys so well, and you guys push each other, and you push me, and Henry pushes me
I push him to his
Downstairs.
limit.
downstairs.
I just push his buttons.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so does Ricky. But like, to be able to share like this with you guys, and because I know you guys want to do other things with your lives, and that's why like I like treasure like the time you put aside for me.
I mean, I ain't doing shit.
Yeah. You were literally doing nothing before you started working at your job.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
He
you
was
know.
hugging it out.
Yeah. But like but I thank you guys for that, and I treasure this because I don't know if I'm going to make it into this industry, but it'd be cool if I do, and if I don't, like whatever, like hopefully I'll find something else that can pay the bills.
This
But-
is
You know what they say. You can get anywhere, if you carry a knife with you.
Yeah, that's
okay.
fact.
Just go up to IGN with a knife. I'll stab your building.
To loop it back around, I was, like I said, I was talking to my friend Caleb, who's super, like, you know, he's got the passion, he's got the fire in him. I can feel it.
He's got the touch. He's got the power.
He's got the touch. He's got the power. He's got the irrational passion in him. You know, the piece of advice he said that I told him was the most valuable is that you're going to quit. You're going to give up. Just make sure you come back after you do. Because I gave up, and I came back.
Yep.
And I'm glad I did. Because now the fire burns like way stronger now than it did before. And like, yeah, it's, you know, after going to Kind of Funny Live and everything and just like meeting all these people, like it's super humbling that people even recognize or remember me. Like, I think that's crazy. I've been doing this for 5 years, amateur hour shit. And people think like I'm like some big shot. And I'm not saying this to be like super humble or moral fiber bullshit. Yeah. I just I honestly, I know I'm not there yet. I'm super appreciative that people think I am there. And
you are definitely like it. When I know very few people, to be honest, but like you and Sean are like the two people that I definitely think of. Like they're going to make it. They're going to be fine.
Yeah, and like the thing is, like as someone who is trying to make it and trying to be fine, like never be complacent. Like never feel like you'll be okay. Never get comfortable. Yeah. Always keep pushing. Yeah. Like that. I know I have to do that because if not, I'm gonna just get left behind, and I won't get left behind. So, and I don't say that again to be humble. I just say that because I super appreciate anyone who's been out there supporting me or inviting me on their show because they think my opinion matters for some crazy reason.
It's because we like you. You're a cool guy.
Cool. Yeah, that's fine with me.
Cool guy.
But yeah, thank you to everyone who's to you and to Henry and to everyone out there who's supported me. I couldn't have done it without all your support. And done by it, I mean like not really that much so far. So I've still got a ways to go.
Thank you for joining us this week. All of our episodes of Talking Shit, and thank you for watching this episode of Talking Shit. Today's topic, of course, was Irrational Passions. Thank you.
Irrational Passions.
Like a whole jumble of words from Alex, but there you go. Alex talked about his journey, and we talked about why we like to do what we do.
Yeah, thanks for letting me wax poetic bullshit on your show for like 40 minutes.
Yeah, it's okay. It was a fun time. Again, thank you so much for joining us. If you have any comments of what we talked about, and if you have any more questions for advice, you can leave those in the comments below. If you liked this video...
I'll check the comments. If people have something for me, or tweet at me at alfighter27. I will respond.
Yeah, and, like that like button, share with your friends, and, subscribe to our channel because you guys are what makes this worth it. We do this for you, and the people who have supported us, you couldn't make me happier by watching our dumb videos where we literally just have the dumbest fucking names, like Talking Shit. If you want to keep up to date with what we do at BCG, you can find us collectively at baiazonagamers on Twitter. I am at Banandwich Henry's at Henry Sortis. Like Alex said, he's at Alfighter27. And then our tech guy who makes all of this stuff possible, he's fucking awesome. He is at 7 Morris, but the Owen Morris is a 0. You can check it in the description below. So thank you so much for joining me, and don't miss out on tomorrow's Let's Play where Alex will be a guest as well. So thank you so much for joining me today, and until next time, have a great day full of shit talking and irrational passions.
Irrational passions.